Katy Perry says she's been battered and bruised by backlash.
Oh, about the space thing?
Yeah, remember when Katy Perry went to space? and now she's coming. She comes back down and she's like, "And I'm a victim of it.
I'm a victim of space.
I went to space and people were mean to me about it, so actually I'm a victim." It's like, it's like, imagine being like, I bought a $2 billion house and somebody on the street stuck their tongue out at me. So really, I am the oppressed class. What space?
What is
Katy
this
Perry?
weird timeline that we're in? This is the darkest timeline. What is going on? And apparently they didn't actually like go into space. They kind of hit the border and they kind of like looked over the fence and then they're like, wow, space, and then they came back.
That's the thing that all celebrities do. That's the celebrities going to space thing. They never actually go to space. They get up to the upper atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then they come down and they're like, we went to space.
It's weird.
Okay, sure. Like, I'm sure that was fun for you. I don't care.
I don't care.
I
want to care.
Why?
Here's the thing. I want to care. I want to feel like it's exciting, but it's not, because it's a huge waste of money. Like, let's say we lived in an ideal world where everybody was comfortable and had money. Then I'd be like, cool. Yeah, let's take our ride up to space in our free time. But it's not like that. So it just seems like a monumental waste of time and resources.
Katy Perry's carbon footprint had to have just like quintupled.
No. She was also acting very weird in, like, I was watching some recaps of it, and she was like promoting her album in her like little close-ups on video. I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
You're in space. Stop worrying about your bad album that nobody liked.
Or her tour or whatever. Yeah.
Just be in space for a second. Christ.
This is the worst. This is the worst timeline.
It definitely is the worst timeline for Katy Perry.
Yeah. So you want to go see her tour? Or
yeah. Let's go.
styles that she does, very Elton John. I like that. But she's so absurd. Like, I can't, she's problematic. So I can't like enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, and she's problematic just in that way of like, unless there's stuff about her that I don't know, that way of like, how are you consistently 10 years behind everything you want to talk about?
It's like Nintendo, just consistently 10 years behind.
Katy Perry trying to talk about social issues is like Nintendo trying to connect to the internet.
Yeah, it's impossible. It's not going to fucking happen.
They just can't figure it out.
Yeah. If it does, it's real dodgy.
Hey everybody, this is Save Your Game.
I have no idea where we're going to cut there, but
I have no idea where we came in, but this is Save Your Game. I'm Matt Allcamp, your host. With me is Katy Perry Stan.
Blasphemous. But also Teenage Dream is a jam. Anyway, hi, I'm Pushing Up Roses. Welcome back to Save Your Game, where we talk about space.
We talk about space. We talk about my journey to become the Pope. We talk about
it's not gonna happen.
It
Matt.
Might. They haven't picked him yet.
It's not gonna happen.
They might.
They might.
Vatican III, baby.
We'll have the Vatican III tour.
Vatican M. That's what Vatican M is what we'll call it. I think there's already been a Vatican III. Would it be Vatican IV? I don't fucking know. I don't know which.
I don't know, but we're gonna make signs. We'll have a marquee. It's gonna be real flashy.
Hey, did you play any video games this week?
I started up a video game.
Oh, which one?
I started up Old Skies.
Wow.
Did you know that I have a cameo in that game? I play a character. Wow, that hasn't happened in many an episode. That's amazing. That's amazing. I can't believe we went that long.
True
Now
eggheads know.
yeah, true eggheads.
True eggheads know. Yeah, no, I did know you had a small cameo in the beginning. Did you
Yeah.
know? Here's a game. I want to hear about your game and what you played, but I played some more Rosewater, and we have
Oh,
little cameos
nice.
in that too.
Yeah, not voice cameos. Well, I don't. You might.
Well,
Well,
one of us
well.
doesn't have a voice cameo in
Well, I
Rosewater,
got the
but
message a little late, is what I'm saying. That's
um,
great. How are you enjoying it?
oh, I like it. I think both of these games are games that we're gonna have to talk about on this show.
Absolutely. Mm,
I'm really enjoying Rosewater. It's a very fun. Um, that's what I want to say. That's all I think. It's like a
It's
fun
just very
adventure.
fun.
Yeah. I mean, if it gets into there's some deeper themes about like uh the whoa,
What was that?
nothing. So far, there's some deeper themes about like American colonialism in the Old West, and such like that. But like mostly at this point, where I am at in the game, it's just kind of a fun little Western adventure with a bunch of little friends.
Yeah.
How about Old Skies? How do you feel about it so far?
I love it so far. I feel like okay. I was trying to like kind of compare it to Unavowed because I loved Unavowed. Man, that
Mhm.
is like for me, that is Wadget Eye's like opus. I just love it. I love the art style. So it's taking
Yeah.
me a little bit to get used to the character art style in Old Skies
Mm,
because the
mm.
backgrounds they look a little more painterly slash rendered. The
Okay.
characters are cartoony. They're like kind of broken sword. Um, and I'm like trying to get used to that aesthetic because it's hard. Listen,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to see 2D characters without my brain going to two things: Curse of
Okay.
Monkey Island, which is extremely silly, and then Broken
Broken
Sword,
Sword. Yeah.
which I have a complicated relationship with.
Yeah.
So it's like it's tough. But man, I love it so far. I am kind of getting used to the animations. They're very, very smooth. It's got that um techno Babylon kind of vibe where it's very futuristic. And yeah, they just knock it. I mean, Wadget Eye knocks it out of the park every single fucking time.
Yeah.
Every
Yes.
time. Um, and as far as I know, it's a pretty long game, which I like. I like a
Mhm.
longer style adventure game. So I'm seeing things about 10 hours long, which is like to me, that's like perfect for me.
Yeah.
Like every now and then I want like a Duck Detective where I'm just like, all right, 2 hour like romp of a video
Yeah.
game. But I like Wadget Eye because they do tend to go into that 10-hour plus thing. So I haven't played much of it. I only really played the intro to see me, to see
To
I'm
see
right,
yourself.
guys. I'm right there. All you have to do is boot up the intro and you will hear me in the game. I play the bartender or like a
um,
holographic bartender, which is like my dream.
I am excited to play Old Skies. Look. I wanted to play both of these games earlier. I
I did
got, I
too.
got, I got Old Skies, and I was like, oh hell yeah! I can't wait to boot this thing up. I got Rosewater. I was like, oh hell yeah! I can't wait to boot this thing up. And then I got Blueprints, and I was like, everything else is by the wayside.
I didn't hear from you for like 5 days. I thought you were
Everything,
dead.
everything else is hidden beyond Room 46.
That's amazing. I have this issue
Mhm.
with Blueprints where it is on my screen right now. It has been on my desktop. It's been on the Steam page for a
Okay.
very long time, for weeks. And I just get I get so intimidated by it. And then I think like, no, if I'm not good at it, I'm going to disappoint Matt. And I don't want to
No,
disappoint
you
Matt.
won't. No, so I think what's so one of the things that's so good about Blueprints is again, if you don't let yourself get upset by the RNG, um, which I think people are only doing that because they're not they're not really thinking about what they're playing. They're just reacting to something. I don't think there's an actual legitimate concern to being upset about the RNG until you're several hours in.
Sure.
Not even several hours in, until you're over 100 hours in. Then, like I said before, then I can see being upset by the RNG as you're trying to do like the beat the game in 1 day challenge, or the beat the game in 1 hour challenge, or the curse mode challenge, or whatever.
Which is not what I'm going to be doing. That's not my goal.
Right. But when you're not doing that, I think getting upset by the RNG is missing the point. I think one of the things that makes blueprints kind of less intimidating is when you see something you don't understand, just take a screenshot and then keep going. Right?
Yeah.
You don't need to sit there and get yourself worked up about it, because a lot of this stuff will be spelled out for you in a clue elsewhere. There's some puzzles that you really have to think your way through, but eventually the only things you need to do is try and draft. If the game offers you a new room, a room you haven't seen before, always draft that new room.
Yeah.
Always try and draft a new room, even if it ends your run that day. Like, okay, well, this is going to give me a dead end, but I've never seen the attic before. Go look at the attic.
Right. And that's, I got that sense of that, is that you don't want to just try right away to get the correct path, because there's a story going on too.
But trying to get the correct path will also help you keep entertained. Right? Like, it'll also be, that's the lighter aspect of it. That's the thing that can be fun for you while the mysteries start building and the puzzles start sinking into your brain. Yeah. And again, as you go, just take a picture, take a screenshot of everything. I would say write stuff down in a notebook, but I think that's for later.
Sure.
When you know what you should be writing down.
That's
because
fair.
there's a lot of people, you're going to think about it like an escape room game, and you're going to go write down every date and every random number you see, and then have no idea what the hell that's for. But instead, again, just take screenshots, and then as some of the mysteries start to unfold, as you start to put things together and start to think like, oh, when I draft, oh, this thing in this room looks kind of like this other thing I saw before. Or, oh, when I draft these two rooms next to each other, something interesting happens. When those things start to happen, then go to your screenshots and spend 20 minutes just reading through them.
Good Lord.
And then you'll just be like, oh, holy shit. Oh, holy shit. And like things will start to snap into place. So again, I don't think it's worth getting intimidated by everything that you need to play the game. And again, until you get until you get well past room 46, where you do need to think a little more outside the box.
Yeah.
To get to room 46, everything is spelled out.
It's doable.
Somewhere. Everything's spelled out somewhere. You just got to find out where it's written.
Based on your experience with me with Myst, how do you think I'll do?
I think good, because when we played Myst, besides you trying to jump up the door,
should be a jump button.
As soon as the pieces started to fall into place, you kind of solved every other puzzle on that first island immediately. As soon as you saw how one puzzle was solved, you got the language of the game instantly, and you were like, oh, okay, I know how to get to not just this one island that we solved, but now I know how to get to every island.
You know what it was? You had said something. I was looking at the well or whatever, the holographic thingy, and I'm just like staring at the instructions on. I'm like, I don't know. Is it on? Is it not on? And you're like, well, it looks like it's on. I'm like, oh, it's on. It like blew my mind. I'm like, it's already on. Well, that makes sense.
and then I think it was, you were like able to connect the idea that there was a rippling pool of water.
Right.
With the fact that one of the settings
right
said, I don't know, like turbulent
Yeah, turbulent extrusion test. No, water.
Yes.
No, sorry, I just
Water,
combined water
water,
turbulent pool.
water. Yeah, yeah. So then you're like, oh, so these numbers correspond to what this image
Right,
creator is doing. I'll try putting in the numbers, and then
and then
so
looking at it.
it'll
Yeah,
be like that. Like Mist, similarly to Mist, Blueprints again tells you everything that you need to know. You just have to look for it first.
yeah. To
So
be
just
honest, I didn't
employ some
know that
patience.
I didn't know that holographic thing was anything but a pool. I thought it was just a pool
Yeah.
with some instructions. So,
hmm
like,
Yeah. And
yeah,
so when
now
you
I
turned it
understand.
off and saw the light projectors, you were like, "Oh, I have now replaced the pool with a machine that is on." Which I think it is supposed to trick you that way a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I think it
Mhm.
knows what it's doing, and it didn't well. Another thing I learned is to look. If there's a sound that happens, you should probably turn around and look to see what
Look at
happened.
there that sound was. Um,
I learned many a
yeah.
thing from Mist that hopefully will help me with blueprints.
Speaking of these atmospheric puzzles, you know what other game I played this week?
What's that?
I played the new Indiana Jones game.
You did?
New
Oh,
by new, I think it was like several months ago.
it's yeah. We can call it new. It's still new.
Because I think it was last year. I think it was the end of last year. It was like December.
Okay.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I finally got around to starting to play that, and I was hesitant because it looks more like a first-person like action game. Um,
Right.
and it, just I'm so connected to the point and click puzzle games of Indiana Jones's past that I was like, I don't know. I don't know that I want this. But I
Right.
started playing it anyway because it's got good reviews and I love Indiana Jones. So I started playing it. And what I realized as I was like the first little bit, it's like kind of like Uncharted, right? Where it's very beautiful scenery
Mhm.
and really good voice acting. You're kind of unraveling a story and the action is so, right?
Yeah.
And there's like collectibles hidden around that I was looking for. I was like, okay, all right, this is exactly kind of what I thought it would be. Then I got to the Vatican, where the beginning of this whole adventure takes place.
Mhm.
And I found some clue that um mentioned a secret passageway. And I was like, oh, interesting. I'm sure because but up to that point, every collectible I'd found, every like note was just giving me little chunks of story or atmosphere or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I found another note that related to the secret passage. And then I realized this is this game has these optional atmospheric mysteries in it
Ooh.
that you could just look past that aren't part of solving the game. I'm sure there are some that are, but like in this instance, it was just I could find 3 or 4 different clues,
Mhm.
put them together, and open a secret passage to some extra treasure.
Oh, nice.
And it was like super cool. It was like, oh, now I feel like Indiana Jones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like just the punching and the whipping and the climbing and the what and the
Yeah, that's
sneaking
not
around
enough.
was like,
Yeah.
whatever, this is fine, but more I'm just at this point I'm just playing it for the story and Nolan North's really, really good Harrison Ford imitation. Um and because it's pretty, I'm not playing it for the gameplay until that moment happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh fuck. All right, this game's got it. This this game knows what it's doing." And yeah, so I'm only like 3 hours into
Okay.
Indiana Jones at this point, but I've run across some actually really cool stuff so far.
That's cool. I kind of forgot about it. It kind of fell off my radar. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just we play a lot of other things, and
Yeah.
unless it's on the computer, so I don't know. It might be. I don't know if it's on Steam or not, but I assume it's PS. PS5 or
It is on Steam.
Okay.
I played it with Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
Wait, sorry, those two are different things. It is on
Okay.
Steam, but I played it with Game Pass.
Got
That's what I
it.
meant to say.
On the PS5, right?
No, on my computer.
Oh, on your computer.
I
Okay.
have Xbox Game Pass on my PC, and I play.
Oh.
Speaking of that, though, this game is chunky. I have
Chunky.
I have a beefy computer,
Yeah, so do I.
and I tried to turn graphics up, not even to ultra, but to high, and it was chugging.
Oh,
It was
no.
so slow. I had to turn graphics down to medium and some of them to low. And I've not
Wow.
had that happen yet. I've not had to have that. Yeah, it happened with Starfield, and then I replaced my graphics card. So I've
Oh,
not
wow.
had that happen with this computer yet, where there's been something I've been unable to play. And Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I had to turn it way, way down. It was a strange
Damn.
experience.
That's strange. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, it does. I mean, upon looking at it, it does look very like graphic and resource intensive. But
Yeah.
if you have a beefy computer, it shouldn't be. Unless there's something wrong with, unless they need to patch it or something. Unless it's
Yeah,
just
maybe there's
chugging, you know.
maybe it was maybe there's something else to it, but man, yeah, it was weird. I Okay, and before we move on to what we're talking about today, there's one other game I just want to touch on.
Sure.
Um because this is another odd experience that I don't know that I've ever had.
You have a lot of odd experiences.
Yeah, games are weird this year. um so do you remember when we played Deck of Haunts? Or at least when I talked about Deck of Haunts,
Yeah.
on our Next Fest episode.
Yeah, I remember.
I was really into it, right? It was like a deck builder roguelite strategy game where you are a haunted house and people
Yeah.
come in trying to investigate you, and every time they find the heart of the house, you lose 1 health, and so you're trying to either kill or drive people insane with the cards you get or the upgrades you put on your rooms before they get to the heart.
Yeah.
So it's out now, so I can say this. We got a review copy of the game, and so I've
Mhm.
played the actual game, not the demo. And this is what's weird about it. I've never had this experience. The demo was better.
How is that possible?
I know. They made some changes in the game, like
Oh.
these little tutorial cards that you start with, but you start them in the beginning of every round. So for a game that you repeat over and over and over, to
Mm,
have to like drag 4 different cards that just basically tell you what's going, like there's a card that tells you card called like Hungry that tells you that cards don't, any unused card disappears at the end of the day and you regenerate a new hand, or
yeah.
I forget what the other ones were, but a card that tells you that the house eats people, and a card that tells you that you build rooms. And that's how they tutorialize it.
Yeah.
You play cards that open up the very basic mechanics of the game. And now you have
Do
to
you
do
think they
that
were getting a weird
every
response
round.
on it? Like, do you think people were getting confused and so they felt compelled to maybe try to clarify?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but maybe. Because I can't imagine somebody having trouble with that demo. That demo was pretty straightforward.
Okay.
But I imagine that's why. I imagine it was because some playtester was having trouble, and so they're like, okay, we'll add a tutorial. But to do it every run in a
Right.
game that you're supposed to just repeat runs like back to back to back
Yeah.
seems very strange.
That is straight. That almost seems like a design flaw. Like you should be able to turn
Yes,
that off, or it wasn't supposed to
yes,
happen every time. That's interesting.
yes. That was strange, and um, the the timeline of what happens isn't as straightforward in the main game as it was in the demo. In the demo, there's like this bar up in the top that lets you know who's coming when. In this
Mhm.
game, there's a calendar that you see at the beginning of your run, and then I don't know if you can somehow pull it up again, but never again. It's not like running there in the time. Like, that's the thing. It looks worse and it
Yeah.
plays worse. And
Weird.
this might just be perception, but it also feels like maybe there's not as much randomization in the main game as there was in the demo. So
That's
every run
interesting.
starts to feel exactly the same.
That's odd. Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still new, right? So they can still maybe tweak the game.
It'll be released the day we release this episode.
Oh,
Embargo is
okay,
up
gotcha.
the
Gotcha.
day before we release this episode. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I don't I I really don't know. I think they're gonna find when they release this game, people are gonna be like, what? The
What?
demo was better. What are
Oh
you doing?
no. Oh
Unless
no.
unless this is some beta that they're giving to reviewers that the demo is more advanced than. I really don't know. It was a very weird experience. I've never played a game where I was like, I'd rather be playing the demo.
Yeah, that is strange. I mean, do you still enjoy it? Are you going to continue to play it?
Yeah, I've played for 4 hours. Like
Okay.
I like it, and I like trying to reach the goals in the game.
Yeah.
I also what I expected from the main game was that there'd be more cards and that there'd be more types of intruders and that there'd be maybe like different modes, right?
Mhm.
But what I'm getting is like somehow less variety than the demo had.
Weird. Oh no.
Yeah, and I'm little
Oh,
disappointed by it.
that
I was
sucks.
really looking forward to it.
It's a great concept. I love the
It's
concept. I think the
isn't it?
concept is clever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good concept, and again, when you play the demo, the mechanics are really fun. Like it's a it seems like a really good deck builder game. I don't know. I don't know why the main game is falling so far behind what they set up in the demo, but
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see like when it releases if there's something different about maybe the copy you got. We'll see. We'll see what they do and what the response is cuz
yeah.
these seem like easy fixes. Like we don't have to have a tutorial every single time. Like that's not
Yes.
that's or have the option to skip or turn it off or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's just I again, also very little customization. I was hoping for that, right? Like I was hoping it'd be like I said, that there'd be modes that it'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, you can start with just the heart and build your rooms around it, or oh, you could start with it, but no, you start with the same configuration of house every single time,
Yeah. Huh.
and you seem to get the same cards every single time. Like there's some
That's
randomization
weird.
in the cards that get added and what you pick,
Yeah.
but
That's weird.
from the yeah
I'm gonna have to give it a go and see what you're
yeah
talking about.
I would
Yeah.
suggest playing the like for you, maybe
Yeah.
even for the listeners. I would suggest play the demo,
Yeah.
just a couple rounds of the demo, because it is very fun. It's a very fun demo, and then go ahead and play the
Full
main
game.
game,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
because I wonder, yeah, I wonder if you'd have this same sort of experience as I did.
Yeah, I am curious about that, like, if I feel like it's dragging behind a bit or something.
Yeah, it was it's very weird. Never experienced anything like it.
Also,
Okay,
one last
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
the next, Duck Detective is coming out in May.
Wow, so man,
I'm
we
so excited.
we are we are spoiled right now. We're getting such really good games at the moment, huh?
I was, like, stoked when I
Yeah.
saw it was coming out so soon because it's just the kind of, like, funny, cozy thing that I need.
Right.
I love that alligator, Freddy. He's so cute.
Freddie.
He's so cute. Would
Mm,
date. Would
would
date Freddy.
would date Freddie.
Fictional cartoon character.
That I expect from you.
Thanks, Matt. Speaking of hot video game characters,
Oh, we gonna talk about that boy Zelda?
we're talking about that elf boy Zelda.
So why don't you play Elfie Zeldarino,
Yes.
and we will be back in a minute to talk more, to talk Zelda Part 2.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Save Your Game. I am your host, Pushing Up Roses, and with me is the cute little elf boy, Matt Ockham. Matt?
Zelbo.
Zelda. Matt, how was your break?
My break was excellent. I finished my tea.
Wow, I'm so proud of you for continuing this tea plus podcast tradition. How lovely.
Well, you got mad at me the one time that I
I
didn't
did.
do it.
That's
So
yeah. I mean, I don't remember, but it sounds like me. So being mad at ridiculous things. We are continuing today with Zelda Part 2 because there's just so much to talk about. We could not fit it all in the first episode. I think we ended up gushing a lot about specific Zelda games, and it's like 84 years later. But now we get to talk about the moderns, as I'm calling them.
The moderns.
The
Okay,
moderns.
yeah. What do we start with?
Well, I think we should mention the couple games. I don't even know if you played them, but the last game we talked about that we left on was Wind Waker.
Okay.
Which I need to say something. I
Okay.
think I can't remember, but I think I misspoke the little bird girl's name. I think it's actually Medley, and I think I said Melody. You can understand the confusion here, right?
Yeah, because Melody's a name and Medley is not one. So
yeah, I think her name is Medley. You know what? Let's just knock this out right now. I'm gonna type in Medley. Better be a thing. It is Medley. It is
Okay.
Medley. So I think I said Melody. Her name is Medley. Don't come for me. I still love that game.
People are pissed.
People are just so mad.
People are really mad right now.
Another thing before we start, I noticed when I was editing the last episode that we talked in depth about some of these games and some of these characters, but we didn't really give a lowdown on like what the game is about, like what our objectives are.
Interesting. Okay.
So like real quick, I mean, obviously every game is different with a different storyline. As I kind of laid that out there in our last episode, it has recurring things, but different storylines. But I think mainly what you're going to run into is the kingdom is in danger. That's what we're contending with. And it's probably endangered by a villain named Ganon or Ganondorf.
Yes. Or VIII.
Who's that? Where's that from?
That is, well, we'll talk about it today.
Oh, okay, great. But yeah, that is what it is. And I just wanted to give like a simple explanation because like we're not diving into the stories necessarily because they're all pretty similar, but you can expect like the kingdom is in danger, the princess is probably in danger, and or is secretly helping you. We gotta save the kingdom. That's like
save the kingdom.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta save the princess. Her name's just Princess. Your name is Zelda.
Yeah. And commonly it is both things where you're saving both or you're working together with the princess. But yeah.
And generally the way the games go is that you are collecting, you're traveling through a bunch of dungeons and an open world of some kind, various levels of open world. To usually it's like you're trying to unlock various parts of the kingdom in some way. You need different groups to help you.
Yeah. And there's like pretty much always a map, right? Pretty much like always. Yeah.
You're trying to get different groups of like species or cultures that live in Hyrule, which is often where the games take place. You're trying to get them to help you in some way. So you basically do some favor for them that involves traipsing through a dungeon.
Yeah.
Or you have to gather items of power, often like the Triforce, for example, which is. Can you explain the Triforce?
Absolutely, I cannot.
Yeah, me neither.
Can
It's just,
anybody?
it's just,
It's just one
it's
of those
just
things,
some
man.
symbol
Yeah.
that represents the different
Like the different powers coming together,
different
right?
powers of the coming together. Also, the different uh, characteristics of the hero. Also, it represents Zelda, Link, and Ganondorf.
Right.
It's it is a
It's like a
it is
religious type of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's highly symbolic and it's mostly a MacGuffin. But I'm trying to think of another time when you're trying to get something other than the Triforce. You're trying
So,
to get
like
like
in Ocarina of
gems
Time,
or
you're
something.
trying to
Yeah.
get like the power stones. So the
Yes.
forest stone, the water stone, and the
Mhm.
fire stone.
Yeah, so anyway, and then as you go in the various dungeons, you're collecting different items that will help you on your quest, right?
Yeah,
You're
and
like, oh, there are all these rooms that I can't get to, but they have crumbling walls on them. I have to go find the bombs in this dungeon
mhm.
to break down all those walls that I've been seeing everywhere, or that sort
Yeah.
of thing. Kind of like a Metroidvania in that way.
Yeah, it's a very like progression based series, and even more so to the games that we're going to be talking about today because they
Mhm.
just go over the top with stuff that you can do.
Yes.
By the way, I did look up Triforce, and apparently in universe it represents the essences of the golden goddesses Din,
What the
Nairu,
fuck is
and
even
Varor.
that?
What the fuck is even that?
What
You
the fuck
know,
is even the golden
the
goddesses?
golden goddesses.
If somebody was like, "Oh, the golden goddesses from from Zelda,"
I like
would you be
sort
like,
of
"Oh, I know
remember.
exactly what you're talking about"?
And then it says the three pieces of the Triforce are
Mhm.
often in the possession of the three main characters,
Yeah.
Ganon, Zelda, and Link, which is also power, wisdom, and courage. There's a
Yes.
lot. Look, it's a lot, okay? It's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is also kind of what happens when you have a game series that's been going on as long as Zelda has. Uh,
Yeah.
you end up with these bits of lore that that don't have to all eventually make sense together,
Yeah.
even if they don't initially.
Yeah.
so so something that had nothing to do with golden goddesses maybe in the first
Yeah.
game
For some
suddenly
reason
has to
though,
do with
like
golden goddesses now.
for some reason this game is really good at like letting me suspend my disbelief because even
Mm.
though like we're talking about does it make sense, does it not, I don't care. I
Yeah,
gotta
same.
find 500 grasshoppers.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't care,
absolutely, absolutely. I
like
mean, it's like the
it's
Final
good at
Fantasies
that.
never make sense either.
Absolutely not. And the Final Fantasies are a great example of sometimes you can suspend your disbelief and sometimes you're just fucking angry at it, and it's like because stories still have to make sense within the story. They still
Right,
have to be believable even if they're high fantasy, right? And
right.
the Final Fantasy games are kind of notorious for that. But do I love Final Fantasy VIII? Yes. Does it make any sense? I could not tell you what that game is about, but I loved it.
You're in a school and your school is also a paramilitary organization and
That's true.
you also gotta pass your school.
You're also like in love.
You gotta pass your test, but you also gotta make money for the school that is also the government.
Uh-huh. But also, nope, that's a spoiler. I can't say. You know what? I will say no more. It's about a school. That's
It's
what it's
about a
about.
school. Um,
But yeah, Zelda is more consistent. The Zelda series is more consistent where I'm just kind of taking in all this lore. That's not to say these games are like wacky. There
mhm.
is legitimate lore here taken from legitimate Japanese like culture. And it does those things do make sense. It's just sometimes the fantastical elements are like, what? The Triforce? I don't
Uh,
know.
and it breaks down when you try to follow it from game to game.
That's true. Yeah, that is
When
true.
when you try to if you try to make a like try to draw a line of story from one game to the next, it's gonna fall apart. Like, people have tried, and
Yeah,
there's no theory that fully makes sense. So
that's true. And you know what? It doesn't have to because they're that good.
they're that
But
good.
that being said, I do want to mention that we're two games that followed Wind Waker. We're probably not going to talk about because it was Four Swords Adventures, which I did not play, and the Minish Cap, which I also did not play because that was on handheld. It was on the Game Boy Advance. Did you play either of those two?
I have played the Minish Cap. The Minish
Oh,
Cap
okay.
is actually a really, really good one. So the Minish Cap has this, I guess, following the Wind Waker tradition, you play sort of a more cartoony version
Hmm.
of Link, and I think it also follows a lot of it also carries over a lot of elements from Four Swords, but I've never played Four Swords, so I don't know.
Yeah,
But the villain in this game is VIII. Um, he is a I think he's a brand new villain for this game, and he's just like a evil wizard he's the Ganon, right? He's an evil
yeah.
wizard. He's opening a gate to another dimension, and the town is threatened by the stuff, and you have to team with a magical hat who also used to be a wizard. And the hat helps you like shrink down and meet the Picori, which are new characters also, I think, for just this game. I
Interesting.
don't think there are Picori in any other Zelda game.
It doesn't
And
sound familiar.
they're just like these little elf people who live in the forest.
Okay.
And so one of the fun things about Minish Cap that's different than some of the other games is this ability to shrink and increase in size.
Okay.
Uh, I really enjoy it. I think definitely one of the lighter Zelda games, and it's one of the shorter Zelda games. But I had a lot of fun with it. I think it was a fun little experience.
It looks really cute.
It was a Game Boy Advance game, and it
Yeah.
really held that that like aesthetic of Game Boy Advance games. Just
Yeah.
fun, cute, colorful little adventures.
That's cute. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that this series really goes back and forth between like very cutesy
Hmm.
kind of Zelda games to the game we're going to talk about next, which is
Yeah.
Twilight Princess, which is
Okay.
way darker in
Yeah.
tone and in aesthetic.
Is this the
Like,
one where you turn into a wolf?
yes, you can turn into a wolf in
Okay.
this
All right.
game.
I want to hear about Twilight Princess.
I was very pleasantly surprised by Twilight
Hmm.
Princess. Now, keep in mind, I played this when it came out. So that's many, many years ago,
Hmm.
2006. So I played this literally 19 years ago. But I do remember really loving it
Okay.
for its more serious nature. That's something I really held on to. And I think it's a little darker because there is like a Twilight uh what's the word here, an atmosphere in this
Hmm.
game where just everything is darker. It kind of slightly reminds me of Majora's Mask in terms of like tone. um so like, yeah, so see here it says like Link enters the Twilight realm, so there's like an automatically both dark in tone and both dark in like aesthetic for the game. You are also working with a new character named Midna, and I thought Midna was fucking cool as shit.
Okay.
I
Tell me
love
about
that
Midna?
character. She's like this little imp. Um, she has like a big rock, like almost Aztec looking rock on her head. She's not human. She's like an animal. And I think she's only in Twilight Princess.
Hmm.
And yeah, she's just like this little imp, this little kind of character that helps Link along the way. And I think she also helps him turn into a wolf. Why you're turning into a wolf, I don't remember. but it's very cool.
Yeah.
I just remember really liking it. I remember liking the map system, and the art style is a little different too, just a little bit. I mean, it made sense for 2006, but I remember the characters looking more humanoid.
Yeah.
They're not. You can look at it now and be like, ugh. But at the time, I'm just like, oh, they look more humanoid. I kind of like that. Um, and I wish I could remember like more about it because I really did like it. But the problem with Nintendo is they make it really difficult to play their past games
I
past a
know.
certain point. So
Yes.
I did not find a real good way to play this. But I would love to play this again because I just remember really loving it and loving the tone and the characters.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems with all Nintendo series, but the Zelda series specifically, is these should be timeless games. They
Yeah.
all have an air of timelessness to them, but they aren't timeless because you can't play them anywhere.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they
No.
will use the proprietary software, like the next game we'll be talking about will. Or sorry, not the proprietary software, the proprietary hardware
Right.
of
Hmm.
each console. And then when Nintendo moves on from that console, you just can't, there's stuff you just can't do. And even if somebody emulates it, they have to figure out ways to emulate these strange mechanics. So,
Yeah.
did you have more to say about Twilight Princess, or are we cool to move on to Phantom
Um,
Hourglass?
just that. Oh, I should say that I don't think Ganon is in this game. I think it is a different bad guy again,
Yeah.
named Zant. Um, I think because I think that's how Midna became what she is, like a little imp. And I also want to say we didn't talk about Navi in Ocarina of Time. So in Ocarina of Time, you get a little guide. That's what Midna is in Twilight Princess. She's
Okay.
like the
Yeah.
Navi of that game. But yeah, yeah, I don't have more to say. I wish I did. I wish I could replay this fucking game because I really liked it and I liked being a wolf and I want to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, eventually they have to remake. They have to, right?
I hope so. Like I couldn't replay Wind Waker easily either.
Yeah.
I for some reason I remembered more about Wind Waker than Twilight Princess, but yeah, I'm sure we can emulate it if we really wanted to, but like you said, it is so hardware based that it could
Mhm.
be tough.
So speaking of that, the next game we're going to be talking about was released on the DS,
Ooh, the
uh,
DS.
and it's called Phantom Hourglass. Phantom Hourglass is, it takes sort of its cue from Wind Waker, where
Yeah, see
you
that.
start out on an island. I think a lot of the characters from Wind Waker come back. Again, I haven't played Wind Waker, but
This actually says it follows the events of the Wind Waker. So this seems like it's a
sure.
I mean, I know chronologically these games are all over the place, but this is supposed to be following Wind Waker.
Okay. You do, yeah, and you have a little fairy companion in this game. You do
Aw.
sail in this game.
Oh, I love the
There
sailing.
are some interesting things. Like, there's a point in this game where it requires you to blow in your microphone because the
Okay.
Nintendo DS had a microphone.
That's
There's a
weird.
point in this game where there's a puzzle, and it is so confounding. You're playing the game because the solution to the puzzle is the most counterintuitive shit you could possibly imagine.
Mhm.
So is there's this puzzle, and it's telling you to put the two halves of a map together. I think something like that.
Okay.
And there just doesn't seem to be a way to do that. You click on the one map, you click on the other map, you're like, I don't know what this I don't know what this is. You go talk to every character hoping one of them will be like, "Yeah, I'll put those two halves of the map together for you," and they don't.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. What do you mean put two halves of the map together? And if you ask, there's somebody you can ask for advice, and I forget who it is, but if you ask that person for advice, they will say, "Why don't you just close your DS for a minute and think about what putting two halves of the map together could mean.
What
So
do
the
I
game
think?
wants you to.
Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
what it says.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah. What would you do then?
Repeat the question.
Question. I didn't give a question.
You didn't actually give a question, yeah.
Well, because you said what would I do, so you seem to want to solve the.
No, because I was getting into my head. I was trying to solve it, but do continue.
Well, how do you think you would solve it?
I have no idea.
So the bottom half of the map opens up on the bottom screen, and the top half of the map opens up on the top of the screen. And so the hint it's trying to give you when it tells you, why don't you put away your DS for a little while?
Oh,
Why don't you put
ew.
your DS to sleep for a little while and come back? Is it wants you to close your DS.
But why? Oh, to
I
like
know!
fold it? Like to
Yeah.
fold the map?
Yeah. To put it together, to put the two halves together.
I see. Okay. All right.
It sucks.
Okay.
Sucks. And the combat requires using your stylus to draw the path of your sword.
Okay.
On the screen.
Sounds clunky to me. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought.
Because generally, like we said last time, the combat in these games is never that. It's not like a huge part of it. Yeah. Right? Oftentimes you're just pressing a button and it's slash, and that button is slash sword.
Yeah.
But they sometimes try to do this sort of clever stuff, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Anyway, I never got very far.
I mean, you were probably pissed at the map situation.
Yes, I was. I never got very far in the game, because the central premise of Phantom Hourglass is that the main dungeon repeats over and over.
Okay.
So you'll go do some dungeon, and then you'll have to go back or achieve something. Then you have to go back to the main dungeon. It'll be slightly different, and you have to do it again.
It'll only be slightly different?
From my memory, it's been a while, but from my memory, yeah, it's slightly different.
That sounds aggravating.
And you basically just do the same dungeon over and over again.
Oh,
it's really rough. And I think there's something else. Gosh, I should have played this game in preparation for this. There's something about there is a time limit in certain parts of the game.
Okay.
And I don't remember. I think you have a time limit to complete that main dungeon.
I mean, that makes sense if it's called like the Phantom Hourglass. That yes. maybe it's tying back to something. Yeah.
But anyway, it's the most frustrating Zelda game I've ever played. Maybe second to Adventures of Link, which I just didn't understand at all.
Yeah.
So after Phantom Hourglass is Spirit Tracks, which is what people say is Phantom Hourglass on a train. Did you ever play Spirit Tracks?
No, because is that DS?
That's DS.
Okay. I actually have a DS with nothing on it. I just have the console and then nothing else.
Because then, there's Spirit Tracks after I think that was also one of the least popular Zelda games.
Okay.
Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures are pretty far down there. Oracle of Ages and Seasons are pretty far down there. Spirit Tracks probably might be the least popular main.
It's sold pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
It only sold around 3 million units. Although I guess that's pretty good for a DS game.
It might be bad for Nintendo, but it's good for any other game in the
world. True.
So did you play? So the next game was for the Wii, and it's Skyward Sword.
Yeah, I did play Skyward Sword when it came out, and I liked it. There was a little bit of, again, Zelda and your weird controversial mechanic thing.
Yes.
Because with the Wii, you had the gyroscope in your Wiimote. and you could use that if you wanted to slash and
Yes.
dice. And I don't think I preferred it, to be honest. Like, at this point in my Zelda journey, that's not anything I've ever done. And
Right.
it's not anything I'm interested in. So, but there were a lot of things in that game where you had to do something with the Wiimote. You had to like use it as a sword, or you had to like shake it or or something. Look like an idiot playing
Yeah.
this game. And I think in your other hand you had there were multiple controllers you could use on the Wii. The Wii was not a very successful console, people. People did not look. I had Wii Sports, I had Skyward Sword,
Well,
and
hold on.
Just Dance, and I was good. Wait, I'm thinking of the Wii U. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I
that is
take
one
it
of
all
the
back.
yes, that is one of the least
I'm so
successful video
sorry.
game consoles of all time.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Nintendo. I'm sorry for besmirching the name of the Wii. Yeah, of course, that makes sense. I actually really loved my Wii. What in the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, the Wii U did not sell good. But the mechanic of Skyward Sword, I didn't like that much. And Skyward Sword was interesting because it went all the way back to the beginning. And by this time, I've played many Zelda games, and now I'm realizing in like early adulthood that there's no like chronological anything to these games because we're back at
Huh.
the beginning. Um, Link is like a knight in training now, and this is the first. I think this is the first instance where you might get a little bit of maybe romantic tension between Link and Princess Zelda. I think
Ooh.
there's not a lot, but there's meant to be that kind of idea of it.
Okay.
It's a very cutesy game. I'll say that. Again, it kind of goes back into the cute realm. And maybe maybe that is more tied into the Wii being a very cute family oriented console.
Mhm.
I don't know how well Skyward Sword was liked. I think it's not as popular as some of the others, but I did have a fun time with it. This kind of set the tone, I think, for Breath of the Wild a little bit more. It was a little bit more open world. The mechanics started to kind of find their own way. You could throw shit everywhere. I mean, you could do that before, but now you can really throw shit, and
Yeah,
that's always fun.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it felt like this needed to happen in order for Breath of the Wild to happen. It was kind of a clumsy little stepping stone. Oh, and I don't think Ganon is in that. Yeah, I don't think Ganon is in this one either. Huh. We've been
Huh.
talking a lot about how
About
usually
games
there
that
is a Ganon, but I don't
well,
think there is.
the next game we're talking about does have a Ganon.
Okay.
The main boss is Yuga, but then like Yuga combines with Ganon and then becomes
Oh,
Yuga
gotcha.
Ganon, something like that. But anyway, the next game is for the Nintendo 3DS, and it is The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds,
Okay.
and
I'm curious about your opinion on that because I never played it.
it's incredible. It's one of the
Oh.
best. I think it's hard to say this because so many of the Zelda games are so good and they
Yeah.
have different flavors, each of them. But it's one of my favorite Zelda games of all time. It's sort of like takes place in the same universe as A Link to the Past. It's not exactly a sequel, but it's meant to evoke Link to the Past.
Yeah.
And it has like a really satisfying progression. It's this top down, the top down cute 3D
Okay.
that would come to take the place of the top down 2D pixel art from the Game Boy and 3DS and Super
Mhm.
Nintendo era,
Yeah.
or not 3DS, DS. So that would end up being like the art style for some of the remakes of the games we've talked about so far.
Yes. Yeah.
But especially some of the early games. But there was this. Not only was it a cool adventure, and not only was it the progression really satisfying, the bosses were really cool. the dungeons were very well thought out, and there was this amazing little mechanic where you would press yourself against the wall and become 2D.
Yeah, I see that in the, I see that in the screen caps. I'm like, "What is going on?"
It also had this really interesting and maybe even controversial mechanic to it, uh, w- which, over time they've been, I guess, little by little trying different things to revamp the item acquisition in Zelda.
Mhm.
Because again, one of the big things about Zelda is you start with like a little wooden sword, and or that's like the first thing you go find usually. And
Yeah,
then you go through the game finding more and more and more shit to help you beat puzzles
yeah.
and, different and more powerful enemies. Well, in A Link Between Worlds, you rent the items. You have to
Huh.
collect rupees to go purchase the items, and when you die, it returns the items to the shop, so you have to go
Oh,
re-rent them.
no. So wait, do you rent the Master Sword?
There's some things that you keep. I think you keep your sword,
Okay.
but basically, it helps you sort of. It opens the world a bit more because you can sort of sequence break this way, and
Yeah,
you have to really, when you're going into a dungeon, you have to really think through the puzzles that it's giving you, and you have to rent the right things. Like, it's very, it makes for a very thoughtful gameplay experience, but I could see how it would be frustrating, much like I think probably the next game we're going to be talking about, the item experience was very frustrating for people to get used to, but ended up being uh something that just helps you play the game in a slightly different way than you're used to playing a Zelda game, right?
sure.
So I think Link Between Worlds is, it's up there. It is probably as good in my mind as Ocarina of Time.
That's amazing. I need to get
Yes.
myself some handhelds is what I'm learning about this.
And it never doesn't feel cool when
Yeah.
you switch to 2D. When you
That
switch to
kind of,
2D Zelda and climb around the walls and stuff.
Zelda. That reminds me of, Mario Odyssey where you can go 2D into certain walls.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely like that. Although in Mario Odyssey, you play a quick Mario level when you're
Yes.
2D,
Yeah.
and in Link Between Worlds, it's usually just it helps you get to a place that's unreachable otherwise.
That's
I
really
mean, there's
cool.
some pretty intense puzzles
Yeah.
that require it, but it's still a very, very, very cool game.
So if anyone wants to donate some handhelds to me, email us at mattandroses@gmail.com.
So the next game, that was 2013. We're moving up to 2015. This is what was it for?
The 3DS.
The 3DS, Triforce Heroes. Did you ever play it?
No,
No.
in fact,
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about it until we even started bringing up the list.
This is another one of these very unpopular ones.
Hey, they can't all be winners. We want them to all be winners, but they can't.
uh, I don't know anything about it, so we're going to skip over that too. Okay. This was like a revelation, right?
Yeah.
In 2017, the Nintendo Switch had just come out. They announced a new Zelda. Maybe it had already been announced. They released a new Zelda. It's called Breath of the Wild. It is
Mhm.
a fully open world game. Open world the way that Skyrim is open world.
Yes.
Um,
Huge, expansive. Yeah.
Giant map. You can go anywhere at any time. Uh, your progress is the way they gate your progress is interesting. We'll have to talk about it, but
Mhm.
um, technically, you can go to the you can. This is something I would find out in this game. Much to my frustration, is you can beat the game at any time.
That's true. Yeah, I think I did know that. If you want to go, like, do the castle, you can go beat it.
Yes. The main villain is just waiting there in the castle for you. You can walk right up to him
Mhm.
at the very beginning of the game, pretty much the very beginning of the game. It's probably once you get off the first plateau, there's like there's like a plateau that trains you how to play the game, and then you get an item that lets you get off of it.
Yeah.
This is the glider. This is the first instance of the glider.
So fun.
Yeah.
I just gotta
Um,
say, I didn't want to play this game when it first came out. I like rebelled against it. I'm like, no,
okay.
Skyrim plus Zelda, I don't like that. And then I went to someone's house. It was actually LGR's house. One of my very close friends, Clint Basinger. He's like, "Have you tried it?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't tried. I haven't tried it." And he's like, "You should try it." And for the next 3 days straight, all I
Yeah.
wanted to do was play
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild. It was unlike any Zelda game I'd ever played, and really, I didn't grow up on like uh, why can I never remember this? Who did Skyrim? The
Beth-
Elder Scrolls games is what I want to
Bethesda.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bethesda.
Bethesda. But Elder Scrolls is what I want to say. I didn't really grow up on those. I didn't grow up on really any open world. So I was
Mhm.
like, my mind was blown because it
Yeah.
had the familiarity of the characters. But now it's so explorative.
Mhm.
Just like remember how we were talking about how Ocarina of Time wasn't very populated with anything?
Yes.
And they didn't need to. Breath of the Wild is kind of the opposite. It's populated with very much a lot of things.
This is one of the main triumphs of this game. If you look at a place and you say, "Oh, hey, that place looks cool. I want to go check that place." There's something cool there.
There's something there. Yeah.
Everywhere you go in this game, there's something there. Uh, and what we were talking about the items is they have this system now where you don't just have your sword.
Mhm.
You find swords or sticks or
Or
whatever
sticks or bones or yeah.
as you go around, and they have like a uh what do you call it? Durability that after a while they break.
Yeah.
Your bows break, your shields break.
Yeah. I feel
It's
like some
yeah,
people did not like that and
agreed.
had there was a few things they didn't like the inventory and there's maybe a frustrating climbing system. When we say open world, we mean like sometimes the weather changes,
Yeah.
sometimes it rains, sometimes you got to climb a cliff and you can't cuz it's way too slippery.
And sometimes you're not really supposed to. Like how many times are you playing that game and the game wants you to get up like follow a path in a certain way and you're like, "Ah, I'll just climb my way up there."
But that's the thing though, is it kind of invites you to do that because you want to
Uh-huh.
see if something's cool is somewhere where you're climbing. So I
But
probably
yeah,
did
yeah.
overly try to climb everything because I was
Same.
kind of yeah, I was encouraged
It's like, I
to
don't
do
wanna
so.
go around. It wants me to go around, I don't wanna go around. I'm gonna try and
Yeah.
climb over it, and a lot of times you can't because it's just too steep and it's raining and
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but yeah, you would you like, collect you collect, like,
Oh, so much. So much stuff.
materials to improve your armor or build
Food.
weapons, or you collect food to make dishes, and that's some of the ways it gates your progress, right? Like you go someplace that is too cold and you'll
Yeah.
freeze to death if you haven't found warm enough clothes and the right ingredients to make spicy food that'll keep you
Right.
warm.
Got to get those spicy peppers. They're going to
And
keep you warm.
same with like you need to go basically into a volcano, and if you
Right.
don't have heat resistant stuff you're gonna die, so you can go anywhere at any time, but there's things that'll block your path
Yeah.
in these sort of clever ways, as if it's saying like the world is dangerous, make sure you know where you're going.
Yeah. It's God, it's one of my favorite games of all time now.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot since I didn't even want to play it. I just couldn't fathom I think what they were doing.
Yeah.
It felt almost like a sellout to try to be more like Skyrim. So I was like, what is this? But it's so easy to fall in love with this game because
Mhm.
of just how endlessly intriguing it is. Endlessly. You okay. you get like you said, huge map. But not only do you get a huge map, there's also an opportunity for you to build a whole new island, like a whole new little village
Oh
in
my god,
game.
yeah.
That was one of my favorite side quests.
I think that's a lot of people's favorite side quests. What
It's
it was called,
amazing. Like Tari Town or
Tarrytown,
Terry
yes.
Town, yeah.
Uh, and basically everybody in the town keeps giving you quests that will help as you fulfill them, will build the village up.
Yeah.
And you start with like a guy and it turns into like you create one of the villages in the game that you can now visit for, merchants and
Yeah.
healing and stuff.
It's
Is
so cool.
really, really cool. That's a really cool quest. There's a lot of there's, instead of big dungeons, right, there's like these mini dungeons that
Yeah.
are
Shrines.
shrines, and
Yeah.
each shrine will test something about you. It'll be a puzzle, a single puzzle, or a single skill challenge.
Yeah,
Because
like a
we didn't
fight. The skill challenges are like kind of fights with an
yes.
enemy. Yeah.
We didn't mention there are so there's the same kind of stuff in other Zelda games. Like you are unlocking, there's bombs and you have to unlock
Mhm.
the bombs at some point. And there are inventory upgrades and you eventually get the master sword and like there's all this stuff, right?
Mhm.
But there are these extra powers you have. So one of them is magnesis,
Right. Oh yeah, right. Because
where
you
you can
have like
lift
a tablet, right? You get that tablet and that
that
helps
is meant
you.
to resemble the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can use your magnesis to like lift uh, metal objects off the ground,
It's
and you
so
can
fun.
use it to like pull chests out of deep water or smash. You can like drop a big metal ball on somebody's head, right? Then there's
Yeah.
stasis that allows things to freeze. So you could use magnesis to lift a metal plate in the air and then use stasis immediately to freeze it in air and then climb on it. Even then, stasis has this thing where it builds momentum as things that are in stasis build momentum. So if a thing you could technically do
Mhm.
is find like a little metal platform, raise it in the air, stasis it so it freezes in place, hit the platform like a dozen times
Yeah.
to build up its kinetic energy, then climb on it, and then as soon as the stasis goes up, it'll go flying with you riding it.
It's so fun. The mechanics they put in this game are so fun.
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes they like even as we're talking about it, it can feel like a little overwhelming to switch back between like powers that you get.
Yes.
But in the end I didn't think it was. I thought
Me
I
neither.
got used to it. Yeah.
Which is very different from the next game we'll talk about, but I think we'll be on
Yeah.
this one for a little longer.
Yeah.
Uh, they also, the physics in this game is wildly robust, right? There
Mhm.
are, if you if it's been raining and you shoot somebody with an electric arrow, it's going to zap all the people around them because it's going to pass through the water.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can start fires by like dropping metal objects from like a patch of grass all the way to some thing that's sparking electricity, and the electricity will travel through the metal objects and light the grass on fire. And
Yeah.
then if it's windy, you might cause a whole giant brush fire.
I hate when that happens.
It's an
Like my
incredible,
bad.
it's this game has so much to it, and again,
Mhm.
without feeling overwhelming. Oftentimes you just feel like, oh, there's just so much fun stuff to do. Anything you can
Yeah.
think of
You
you can
feel
do.
eager, not overwhelmed or anxious. You just feel eager.
Right, very early on in the game, it basically gives you a scenario where you I think almost accidentally drop a boulder on a group of moblins who are like the little goblin
Yeah, they're
bad
so
guys,
cute.
and it crushes them and kills them.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh, that's something I can do. I can
Mhm.
beat enemy. I don't have to go fight everybody with my sword. I can like I can put a bunch of metal near them so they get struck by lightning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yes.
can roll a boulder down the hill to crush them. There's so much you can do.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can play this game.
Mhm.
You can stealth it and like um shoot like a fire arrow at a barrel or something and explode it.
Yes. Yeah, you roll a barrel down a hill and then shoot it as it gets to the bottom. Okay, so we mentioned that there are shrines in this game, and those are like these mini dungeons because there's not these big, well thought out, structured dungeons in this game,
Right.
but there are what are called divine beasts
Yes.
that are also a little like dungeons.
Yeah, I think they're more like the big temples that you would do in like Ocarina. 'Cause, like, it's almost related. Cause like, each divine beast has something wrong with it, almost
Hmm.
like Jabu Jabu had something wrong with it in Ocarina
Uh-huh.
of Time, you gotta go in there and, like, figure it out. I like the divine beasts because it gives you incentive to go everywhere and find them on the map, and those divine beasts are each owned by, like, a different species of being. So, the Zora have one. There's one in Gerudo
Hmm.
Valley.
Yeah.
The Rito have one. The bird people! I just love the bird people so much. And for whatever reason, I assume it has something to do with, like, Ganon or something that's going on in the castle. All of their
Yep.
divine beasts have something wrong with them. And you need those divine beasts. Well, I guess you don't, because you told me you could just go beat the game
Yeah.
right away.
So the divine beasts, if you help them, uh they will help you in your fight with Ganon. So Ganon is corrupting. Basically, you lost, right? This is a s- this is if you've lost. This is like I forget what timeline
Yeah,
this
who
is,
knows?
but you were fighting Ganon. You lost. It's been like 100 years or something, and you wake up and you have to fix the world that Ganon has been corrupting in the meantime.
Right.
And uh, one of the things he's corrupted are these divine beasts. And as you free each one, when you're in your final fight with Ganon, they will each use their amazing weapons on him,
Yeah.
and each of them will take away like a a huge chunk of his health.
Right.
It
Yeah,
is
it's very helpful.
really hard to beat Ganon without the divine beast's help,
Yeah.
but you can, and people do.
But don't,
People beat him with
because you're
people
gonna
with
miss out.
normal arrows and normal armor and normal sword.
That's crazy. That's
I
crazy to
remember
me.
I remember walking up to this is again the first time I beat Ganon my first try, and I had only finished two of the divine beasts.
Okay.
Um, and w- that was frustrating because I didn't know. I didn't know you could just end the game whenever you wanted.
Yeah.
So then later I decided I would make it real cinematic. So when I was ready, when I beat all the divine beasts, I remember riding the best possible horse you could find in the game. My horse, I think, had armor. I had the
Nice.
best armor you could have in the game. I was fully upgraded. I had the master sword. I had the best bow, and I had the best shield. I had the best bow, and it was kitted with all ancient arrows. I was like,
Nice.
and I remember just like walking up the center of the final area towards the castle, like feeling like the ultimate badass. But then, of course, then it beat Ganon in like 10 seconds, and
Oh,
it was kind of
no.
like it was kind of like really because, and I think I don't know if I would have like, because in Zelda games, like in all Nintendo games, the bosses are puzzles. So there are things there, they shift through different forms, and then you have to figure out how can I possibly damage this form, because
Yeah.
normal stuff doesn't work, right? um with Ganon, I already knew all of them because I had already beat him once.
Right.
So yeah.
I mean,
Anyway.
I definitely don't play Breath of the Wild to get to the end. It's like in
Yeah,
some
yeah.
yeah, I mean in some Zelda games I like both the journey and the end. Ocarina of
Mhm.
Time, I like the journey and the
Yes.
ending. It all works
Yes.
really well. In Breath of the Wild, I don't really want to beat it. I just want to stay in this world and help everybody. You want to know what one of my favorite things about this game is?
Yes.
It's gonna sound real dumb. My favorite game was finding the stables. So in this
Oh,
game,
yes. No, I
yeah,
love that. Yeah.
yeah. While you're on your journeys, you're gonna find a lot of things. You're gonna find villages that you can rest at, just like any Zelda game. But you're also gonna find these stables where you can like keep your horses. If you have more than one horse, they're great for that, which I do have more than one horse, and they're all named amazingly. But it's such a comforting thing when you're on like this dangerous journey where
Yeah.
there are enemies present, and then you find a stable and you're like, oh my god, there's probably gonna be characters there that want me to do a quest. That's gonna be great. They
Mhm.
might have
Mhm.
something for me. I could maybe look around for horses. It feels like a safe place. So
Yes.
I love finding those stables. And
Yeah.
anytime I found one I wasn't expecting, it's so exciting. Like I didn't know there was a stable here.
Yeah, I felt the exact same way. I know exactly what you mean. It
Yeah.
every single time it was exciting. It felt like in any other game how you get like an armor or a weapon upgrade. Finding a stable was like
Yeah.
felt like I upgraded somehow.
I know. It's just great. And I think you can sleep there too or rest
Yeah, you
there.
can.
Okay.
You can.
I yeah, there's just something about that where like, okay,
Mhm.
it makes you feel like you're progressing. Like I found a new location, I found a new stable. Let's talk to these characters, see what they're all about. It's just so great. It's so great. It's so great.
Another
I could
thing you
play
can
this
do in
game.
this game is you can how do you describe this? You can throw your shield on the ground and surf on it.
Yeah, you can shield surf
You can
if
just
you
shield
wanted to.
surf.
You find a big old snowy mountain and just surf down it and maybe hit a moblin on the way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fun, and there's some challenges that require you to do it.
That's true.
Um,
Yeah.
I think there's even one like dungeon that you not dungeon. There's one area you have to surf into. Maybe it's a special area. I
Um,
can't remember now.
it might be it might be a
I
special area.
you know what I also forgot to mention uh about the divine beasts. This is also
Mhm.
another important thing is and this doesn't exist in any other Zelda game as far as I know, but in order to get into them, so again they function like little dungeons or like little temples, but in order to get into them, um you have to go through like a huge like set piece,
Mm, mhm.
right? Like
Yes.
an uncharted kind of like you're suddenly all the game mechanics change and you're like flying in the air and you have to I can't even remember, you have to like what's that one? The one where you're flying in the air, you're like falling and flying, and then you have to catch these like updrafts.
Yeah, you have to
And
catch the updrafts. I don't remember what the point of was that, but yeah, you're using your glider, which we mentioned. The glider is a very cool mechanic and
you have your
makes
Rito friend flying around with you.
Oh, you do have your Rito. Okay. Okay. Was that
And then
like something
yeah,
for a skill or something for like a weapon or something?
I don't remember what he's there for, but again, it's just in order to get into that divine beast, you have to go through this
Right.
like wild challenge. And then there's another one that's like you're swimming around at top speed in
Yeah.
circles around this divine beast firing arrows at it. And
The
again, there's like
Zora one. Yeah.
yeah, there's some puzzle to solve there in that encounter too.
Yeah.
Like where and when to fire the arrows and where and when not to. But again,
Yeah.
there are these huge set pieces that just suddenly feel like you're in the middle of like a movie scene rather than
Yeah. No, it's very
playing
epic.
the exact same game that you have been playing this whole time. It's very epic. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's just so many so many good things about this game. And like in regards to the glider,
Oh, sorry.
that's a cool mechanic that they put into this because the map is vast.
Yeah.
It's huge, you guys. Um, and to kind of manage this map, you find towers in certain regions. Like the map has certain regions. You find a tower, and if you find all the towers, you can teleport towards them. But
And
another
you
fun thing you can do is just glide off of them
yeah.
and just
Finding the
look at stuff.
towers finding the towers, you can, it unlocks a portion of the map
Yeah,
that was otherwise blank, like a Ubisoft game. If you've ever played
yeah.
any Ubisoft game, it's very like Far Cry, or I think Assassin's Creed does it too. Anyway,
And
it's
that's
like that.
also very exciting because it tells you once you unlock the map, it gives you like just like a normal map that you would
Mhm.
see, it tells you where things are. Like, "Ooh, I wonder what this little heart pond is." It's not called heart pond, I'm making that up, but yeah, it has all these things labeled on the
Yes.
map, and I'm like, "I wanna go there to that weird cave."
And you can use your tablet, the camera on your tablet, and you could like look from the top of the tower and mark things that you see in the distance and
Right.
say, "Oh, something seems to be glowing over there. I'm gonna mark it on my map, and then I can use that as a waypoint
Yeah.
and go see what's glowing over there, and guaranteed it's something cool."
This game is just I hate to say this word because gaming writers say this word all the time. I think it's overused, but I want to say that this game is very polished. It's just very complete. Everything is super cohesive, and I just want to go play it again.
I kinda wanna play it right now.
I do too. I
As
do too. It's
we're
so
talking about it, it's
good.
making me wanna play it. A game that I am not going to wanna play is sort of the direct sequel to Breath of the Wild.
I'm glad we have like similar opinions on this.
So this was released in 2023. It it takes place in pretty much the same map as
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, with some different things. Like there's some floating islands. The verticality is very important to this game,
Yeah.
and it's called Tears of the Kingdom. People
Man,
loved this game.
they do? No. We're
People
the minority?
absolutely adore this game. This is one of people. Yeah, people. The thing about, I mean, look at all the awards it's won. Like it was a incredibly well received game. I couldn't get into it, man.
I couldn't either, and I want to. I want to get into it. I want to like it. I want that same magical feeling
Mhm.
I got when I played Breath of the Wild.
The basic premise of Tears of the Kingdom is that you have similar powers to the powers you had in Breath of the Wild, only you use them to assemble devices
Yeah,
or
which I hate, by the way.
to like connect objects. So
Yeah.
one thing you can do is you can take, and this is the big joke about this game, is that every single puzzle in the game can be solved with a giant log bridge. So you just take 100 logs and you connect them together, and you telekinetically float it in the air and drop it across any obstacle.
Yeah,
And
there you
you
go.
solved it. But you can also make like vehicles and
Yeah,
flying contraptions,
which I don't care about either. I don't
and
like building stuff.
you can make weapons, and yeah, and I didn't like it. They want you to use your imagination, which a lot of people really like. I mean, games like Minecraft and things like that, they're super popular, and they're
Yeah.
popular for a reason, and this is appealing to that sense in people. But what I like
Mhm.
about Zelda is that it's tight,
Yes. Well,
and
I
that
think
there's
what the devs noticed was in Breath of the Wild, people were using their imaginations to do like you explained before, like shooting yourself off into the air with like kinetic force. I think
yes.
maybe the devs saw that and was like, "Hey,
Mhm.
let's give them even more freedom to use your imagination." I don't want that. I want
It was
structure.
it felt too intimidating, it felt
Yes.
too big, it felt too untethered
Yeah.
and chaotic. Again, you basically you use your ultra hand ability to
Is that
grab
what it's
things,
called?
and then you use your and then you use your fuse ability to attach them to each other. And some things when they're attached to each other have certain powers, right? Like you can attach if you attach a generator to something that requires electricity,
Mhm.
that thing is now suddenly powered, right?
Right.
Um you can put a bunch of fans on the bottom of a plank of wood and stand on it and create a hovercraft.
Which
And
I
then you can
did, and it was novel for as long as you think it was.
right. You can put a steering stick on it to steer it around. You can one thing people like to do is put wheels on a plank, four wheels
Okay.
on a plank, and then uh like some sort of weapon, like some sort of I can't remember what it is. Some sort of like spinning chopping thing on the front
Okay.
and a fan on the back and just ride around the country just chopping up moblins.
What the fuck?
You just like you make a giant like basically tank that can destroy anything that any enemy that it encounters.
It, like,
Um
went a little Saints Row or something. It's like,
which
"Just
is
do
a
whatever."
yeah, which is a little like it's funny,
Yeah, it
and
is.
I am impressed by the people who can play the game this way.
Yeah.
But it's just not what I wanted, and I tried and tried. Here's another thing about it. One of the issues with Breath of the Wild, one of the few issues with Breath of the Wild, is that the controls aren't great, and
Yeah.
you can't remap them.
Yeah.
So it takes a while to get used to the controls. Now, the controls in Tears of the Kingdom are about the same, but the game doesn't ease you in as slowly because it is
Mm.
almost I think it assumes that you've played Breath of the Wild.
I think I absolutely it does. It absolutely assumes that, yeah.
So I never in the 5 or 6 hours I played of this game, I never got used to the controls.
Oh,
I was
no.
always do I anytime I wanted to do something, I did something else. Just constantly. I'd go to
Yeah.
swing my sword and I'd jump. I'd go to jump and I'd swing like I'd be sneaking up on some moblins and suddenly I'd fire my bow into the ground and they'd all notice me. Like I could not get this game right.
I couldn't either. And
Okay.
I got a little used to the controls because I, like, forced myself to. I'm like, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna remember."
Mhm.
But another thing that I didn't really love was, and maybe I would love if the mechanics were better and I liked building stuff, but I
Mhm.
didn't love that there was so much of the same map as Breath of the Wild. Now, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, there are new parts to
Yes.
discover. There's a whole underground, there's a sky, there's things in the sky as well. But the reason I loved Breath of the Wild is everything felt new. Every little single thing
Yeah.
I discovered felt new, and I just wasn't, the magic was a little gone for me in Tears of the Kingdom, and I didn't want it to be. I wanted to
Yeah.
play and love it so badly.
Yeah, and there's a lot of puzzles that you run into in this game, and there's no fixed solution, which is supposed to be the strength of this game. Like,
Right.
oh, think your way through it. There's 50 different ways to solve this. But I would get, I don't know, somehow so spun around trying to
Yeah.
solve like we had so much trouble solving puzzles. I'd think I know what it was, and then I'd think, oh, my invention is just a little bit off. And so I guess I just have to tinker with it for a while.
Yeah.
And it's just I would and it would never work. I don't know if I don't know if it's just like my aim is bad in a game like this or if
Uh-huh.
I I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get it.
I didn't either, and
Also,
it
the
makes me
cutscenes in
so
this game were
sad.
super long.
Oh, were they? I'm,
Yes.
like, repressing it or something because I was really disappointed with it.
At least if the cutscenes weren't long, maybe that's not what I mean to say. Maybe it's
Mhm.
just there's so much intro.
Yeah.
I remember it just
Just
railroading
dragged.
me for the first like 2 hours of the game.
Yeah. There
And
were also a few
yeah.
things I never really understood, and I understand them so little
Mhm.
that I can't even articulate it back to you.
Yeah.
But it had to do with like the technology. I'm trying to like quickly find what I'm uh trying to describe here. But again, the Zonai devices.
Yes, those are what I was referring to earlier. Yeah.
So yeah, that you were describing. Are those the weird spinny choppy things? What are they?
I mean, it's those are like the engines and the
Okay.
fans, and the weapons are the Zonai devices, and you have to attach them to anything, like a vehicle you've made,
Okay, got it.
and
That's not what I'm talking about.
then you can attach a power source, and they will turn
Got
on.
it. But what about those machines? I don't even know what I'm talking about. See,
I don't know what
I've
you're
got
talking.
myself so confused.
It's possible you've just gone further in this game than me.
Maybe. I just felt like there were a lot of tech and gadgets
Hmm.
that weren't clicking with
Right.
me. There was just a lot more things that didn't make any sense. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, like all the ancient stuff made sense, all of those enemies made sense. The tech made
Yeah.
sense in game to me, and
Yeah.
it didn't in Tears of the Kingdom. I was getting so confused.
Yeah, and I think this is an us problem, to be honest, because
Probably.
everybody else seems to love this game. We seem to be very far in the minority here.
Damn.
Um, but yeah, something about it just doesn't click with me. I don't know. I don't know.
It doesn't
I
with me
hate
either.
imagination. All right. So I think so the next game, Echoes of Wisdom, I don't think either of us played.
No, not yet. And I
Yeah.
definitely I would give it a shot. It's a remake, right? No, it's not a
No,
remake.
no,
It's
no, no.
just
It looks like the remakes because it's that one of those top-down cutesy 3D
yes.
ones, but you play Princess Zelda in it.
Oh, right. You play Princess Zelda. I do want to play this.
Mhm. And
But
apparently
what I think
there's
what I'm waiting
creativity
for
there
is
too, but it's a little more tight. What?
I think what I'm waiting for is just another Breath of the Wild here.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm waiting for a game that's entirely new, right? I'm hoping
Yeah.
that the next Zelda they come out with I'm hoping they take some time, and in 2029 we get a Zelda that has nothing to do with the previous Zeldas, the way that Breath of the Wild didn't have anything to do with Link Between Worlds, the way that
Right.
um Wind Waker didn't have anything to do with Four Swords, the way that Ocarina of Time didn't have anything to do with Link to the Past. I'm
Right.
hoping we get something brand new, because that's their core competency here, is
Yeah.
coming up with something that you've never seen before.
And I
And
think that's why Tears of the Kingdom just didn't land. It didn't feel new enough.
mhm.
And Echoes of Wisdom, that also doesn't feel like it is new, but since it
Yeah.
looks so much like the modern remakes, I do want to play as Princess Zelda though. I think that's sick and I want to do that.
Um, all right, so now that we've talked about all the games, we're gonna give you our definitive
Oh,
rankings.
have
Number one.
nothing. Oh god, I
No,
what?
we're not. No, we're not. We're not going to do
I
that.
don't
We're
have
not.
a speech prepared.
But do you have what do you, it? Because as we were saying before, it's hard to even be like. It's hard to even decide this is the best one. This
It
is
is
my
hard.
favorite one. So, but if you had to clump like your top three,
Yeah. I could do a top 3 and I can do it in no particular ranking. I'm just going to
yeah,
say these are in my top 3. I would say Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time. When this last one's going to be a little difficult, but I'm going to have to go with Wind Waker,
yeah.
which is like nobody's pick.
I'm having a little bit of trouble here because Ocarina of Time is one of the best games I've ever played, but I felt
Mhm.
way more connected to Majora's Mask when I finally went back and played it, right?
Sure.
Um, and it felt so satisfying and like intellectually satisfying to beat, and like the way the pieces, as we were talking about last time, it was like a real puzzle
Yeah.
where the pieces just started to fall into place.
And you
And
can
so I
put
think
both Ocarina and
my
Majora's
top
Mask.
3, well, but I don't think either. I don't think Ocarina of Time is better than Breath of the Wild or Link Between
Mm.
Worlds. So
Oh, that's right.
I would say
Okay.
Breath of the Wild, Link Between Worlds, and Majora's Mask.
Dang, that's good though.
hmm And I think right below that is probably Minish Cap and Ocarina. Probably like Ocarina's above Minish Cap, but
Yeah. I would also put like original Link to the Past. I don't know if I keep forgetting which one they remake. I don't know why. I think it's Link's Awakening, but
Link's Awakening is the remake. This is the
that's
one
the
that was
remake.
remade.
Yeah.
hmm
I liked A Link to the Past a lot too. It's up there, but it's not
Yeah.
as up there as my top 3. And yeah, I do have such a soft spot for the Wind Waker. I think it got a bad rap when it came out, but upon giving it a chance, I think people would really enjoy it.
I mean, one day I hope to play every game in the series because I think they all have something special about them. But
Definitely.
well, Roses, thank you so much for talking about Zelda with me again.
I want to play Breath of the Wild so bad.
Me too.
That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do.
Well, you gotta go play Blueprints first,
God
unfortunately.
damn it. Okay.
So, thank you guys for listening. You can find us at Save Your Game Podcast at Instagram, on Instagram.
On Instagram, yeah. You got it. You did it this time.
You can email us, madandroses@gmail.com. You can leave us reviews and ratings wherever you find us. We appreciate it. Roses, what do you want to say?
Yeah, ditto. How come I never have anything to say at the end of the podcast? I never do.
I don't know. Yeah. I steal it all.
Yeah.
I'll have to leave some for you next time. I don't know what we're covering next week.
Maybe, but in the near future, we probably will be talking about Old Skies and Rosewater.
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to be the very next one, but I assume it's going to be soon. Yeah.
I don't know what the next episode is, but if you guys want to stay ahead of us so we don't spoil anything for you, I think a safe bet would be to play Rosewater and Old Skies.
Yeah, that's a safe bet.
Also, if you like my goofy jokes and opinions on stuff, and you like the X-Men, or if you don't like the X-Men, check out Mutant Menace. It's a podcast to do with my friend Pat.
It's good. It's fun.
Thank you.
I don't know shit about... Well, no, you know what?
Now you do.
Thanks to Matt of Mutant Menace, which is great alliteration, by the way.
Thanks.
I know a few things about the X-Men.
So,
are you going to test me? No? Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. It'd be so cruel. There's just so much. The X-Men are just such a vast. All right. I just had one thought.
Just one?
Just one thought before we go.
Okay.
And that is that, like, while we were doing this podcast, I'm like, hey man, this podcast is art.
Oh my God, it is art. But something you have to keep in mind is that art is suffer.
Oh fuck.